Hello guys and welcome to our upper body mobility routine. This routine can either be 20 minutes long or 30 minutes long depending on how much sets and reps you perform. Okay, so I'll give you the chance to do either 1 set or 3 reps and you can decide how long you will want to train your mobility. Okay, so let's jump straight in to our first exercise. So let's start everything off with some blocked shoulder cars. Some blocked shoulder cars, you need a tennis ball or a small ball or an obstacle which imitates just the ball, which you can squeeze hard enough. Okay? So blocked shoulder cars, you can lean onto a wall or use a pole as I do. Go in a lunge position and block your thoracic spine from compensating through this exercise, okay? So from this position here, squeeze the ball or the object as hard as you can, straight elbows, and from here go into flexion, full shoulder flexion. If you can't go any further, internally rotate your upper arm, not through your wrist, your upper arm into shoulder extension and beside your thigh. Back with internal rotation and shoulder extension. Make sure your elbows are straight. Externally rotate up into shoulder flexion. Really squeeze the ball. Go down. 3 more reps. Internally rotate your shoulder. Make sure your elbows are straight. Really fight for more range of motion. Make the circle bigger each rep. Back into shoulder extension, open up, into shoulder flexion. Beautiful. Up, back into shoulder internal rotation, down, back up. Fight for a bigger circle. And back up. This should be very hard for you, okay? So really fight for each centimeter here. Last rep on this side. Flexion, internal rotation. And with your upper hand beside your thigh, the tennis ball is facing to you now. Then externally rotate, open up your hand as you go into full flexion. Beautiful. We're switching the side. This exercise is especially good to train your full range of motion of the shoulder. Internal rotation, flexion, shoulder extension, and external rotation here. So we're training through the full range of motion as a mobility exercise. So block your thoracic spine here again. Split stance here. Go up into full flexion, squeeze the ball, internal rotation, into shoulder extension, and back. Shoulder extension, internal rotation, up, into shoulder flexion. 3 more. Squeeze the ball. Sure, you really do it slow and controlled. Feel every part of the movement here. Back into extension, open up with external rotation. Slowly come up. 2 more. Up. And reverse it. Extension, back up, squeeze the ball, and the last rep. Make this rep the most beautiful. We have 1 set left here. Up, internally rotate, wrist is straight, elbow is straight. Go into full shoulder extension with internal rotation. Back, and up. Beautiful. Just a quick break, 10 to 15 seconds, and we have 1 more set of 4 reps to go. Shake out your arms, shoulders. This should be really hard, and it's a really good mobility routine, mobility upper body routine you can implement in your daily life. So I think we're ready for the second set of 4 reps. Split stance, block your thoracic spine, and the last 4 reps. Flexion, internal rotation, extension, and back, up. Really fight for it. 3 more reps. Up, internally rotate. Extension, really fight for a straight elbow. I know this might be hard, but try to be as honest as possible to yourself. Up, 2 more. And back up. And the last one. Really be honest here. Up into full flexion. Start the internal rotation as you drive your arm back behind your body into extension and reverse it one last time. Come on. Beautiful. Great job. Finish the first side here. We have 1 more side to go. Last 4 reps. Up into flexion. Internally rotate. Shoulder extension. And back. Reverse it. Feel your shoulder joint moving. If you have problems in some areas, especially for internal rotation maybe, you can also stick here in this part and do small circles as you go through the full cars. And up. 2 more. Up. Internally rotate. Shoulder extension. And back. And the last one. Come on. One last time. Open up, externally rotate, back into full flexion, and down. Beautiful. First exercise is done. So this second exercise is called internal rotation, pails and rails for your shoulder. So why we're training internal rotation? It's just simple. Internal rotation is the main function, the fundamental function of your shoulder. So if you're lacking internal rotation, that could be really bad for all overhead stuff and for your shoulder health in general. So that's why we're training internal rotation, pails and rails in this setup. So for this setup, we have a black roll to lay our head on. You can also use a yoga block, for example. So go in a side lying position. Put a little bit of pressure with your body weight onto your shoulders, so you don't want to be too opened up here. So make sure your shoulder is staying on the ground all the time. And from here, we have different angles we can train our internal rotation in. For example, here, up here, or down here. Usually, we start with a 45-degree angle here in your humerus, okay? So for this one, go down into your stretch position. So with this arm, push your forearm down while maintaining your shoulder on the ground. Really make sure your shoulder stays on the ground. Find your stretch position. If you found your stretch position where you can't go any deeper, that's the perfect point to hold the stretch for 2 minutes. I'm going to hold it for 2 minutes now. After the 2 minutes stretch, we're going to do some pails and rails. Pails and rails are some isometric contractions in our end ranges to provide more control and more range of motion. Okay, so our palate contraction after the 2-minute stretch is gonna be pushing your forearm or your hand, which is below the supporting hand, into the upper hand as hard as you can for 15 seconds. Really create force here. For your rails contraction, try to fight and engage all this tissue down here to keep your hand exactly where it is and to push through more range of motion, okay? So I don't push with my upper hand for the rails, I just want to fight with the lower hand to get more range of motion down, okay? If that makes sense. Okay, let's pretend 2 minutes are over and we're gonna start slowly with our palate contraction. So the palate is gonna be, as I said, pushing your forearm here into my hand. Slowly ramp up, give me 50% of your maximum effort, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100 now. Give me everything you have. Really push against the hand. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let go of the pressure and fight for more range of motion only with your arm below here. Try to fight for it, engage this tissue here. Don't put pressure on the hand. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. After that, stay in the position. Maybe you can go even deeper now and hold the stretch for another minute and perform the palate and rails again. Okay, we're gonna do the same stuff on the other side. Okay, so let's move on the other side. So same position here, side lying position. We're gonna put pressure with our upper body onto the shoulder joint so we're not open up and do the stretch. We'll make sure that our shoulders stay in contact with the ground all the time. There we go. We find our stretch, we find our passive end range. If you found your stretch, hold it again for 2 minutes. And we're gonna apply the same principle here on this side. So again, 2 minutes, and then slowly ramp up your palate contraction against this hand, okay? So 30% of your maximum effort into your hand after the 2 minute stretch, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and now 100% for 15 seconds. So really fight against the hand here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The rails contraction. Let go of the pressure and try to push your hand down to the ground as hard as you can and really fight for it. Shoulders on the ground, shoulder stays on the ground. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Find your stretch again. As I said, maybe you can go even deeper now after the first palate and rails. And you want to do that for another set. Maybe a 1 minute stretch. So the 2 minute stretch after it isn't necessary. 1 minute stretch would be enough for a second set. And the palate and rails stays the same, 15 seconds palate, 15 seconds rails. And that's how you're gonna get stronger in your internal rotation and get more range of motion with your internal rotation of your shoulder. So we already trained some blocked shoulder cars, some internal rotation for our shoulders, and now we're hitting some mobility work for our wrists. So wrists are really important to train because all we do in our upper body sessions is with our wrists, of course. So our wrists are involved in almost any exercise, upper body related exercise, and especially in all the push exercises. Imagine during a handstand or during a bench press, how much pressure is on our wrists. So it's really important to get more control and more strength in our wrists. That's what we do now. We're gonna do some wrist passive range holds. So this is really hard and really challenging for your wrist, but it's so beneficial. So passive range holds for our wrists is gonna look like this. You're going to a kneeling position. We're gonna work on our hands not simultaneously, so only one hand here to really focus on the hold, okay? So we want to lean as far forward as we can, so you really should feel stretch in this side, and your elbow is always in a straight position. If you find your stretch here, you engage your forearm muscles right here as you would lift off the hand and get closer to the forearm, okay? You're gonna hold that contraction with a straight elbow and go back, hold the contraction until your hand lifts off slightly off the ground. Hold that for 15 seconds, 40, 30, 12, 11, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go back. You should really feel it right here. Go for a second rep. You may notice your elbow wanted to bend. That's why my hand was there to a little bit support my elbow to not bend, okay? So you can shake it out a little bit. Go back into your end range, find the stretch. Engage the rails contraction here. Engage your forearm muscles. Go back until your hand lifts off slightly. Only a credit card can slide through, okay? 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back. Last rep here. I know this is hard and difficult, so after each rep, you can shake it out a little bit, but go back. Third rep for 15 seconds, okay? So engage the rails tissue again. Go back until your hands lift off. Come on. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back. We're gonna rest a little bit, do the other side. Same principles here. Kneeling position, go into your end range, engage the rails tissue, and slowly go back until your hand lifts off. Hold it. 12, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back. Find your end range, engage the rails tissue, and wait until your hand lifts off. Fight for it. Elbow stays straight. Maybe you can engage your triceps to fight for your elbow. No, this is hard. 10, 9, 8. Come on. 3, 2, 1, and we go for a last rep. Find your end range, engage the rails tissue, and lift up your hand. Come on. Hand is straight. Fight for it. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back. So this is one set of 3 reps with a 15-second isometric hold here. Please add another set, so this is really beneficial and good for your wrist health. You saw me and you saw the angle of my wrist here was not perfectly 90 degrees, so you should aim for a wrist mobility that provides you with an active hold with your wrist really in a 90-degree angle. Because if you think of a handstand or bench press, shoulder press, the really bad thing happened here, especially if you do more advanced stuff, you go over this 90-degree angle. And if you don't have control over this angle, this can be really bad and results into injury or wrist pain. So really work on your regressive side of your wrist so your wrist gets stronger. So this is the last exercise of our upper body mobility routine. It's called Infinity Swimmers Hovers, okay? A little bit confusing name, but we actually have two variations here. You can either do it in a lunge position or in a squat position. So if you're not comfortable sitting in a squat for maybe 1 or 2 minutes consistently, then we highly recommend you choosing the lunge position. But if you want to challenge yourself and you're up for a challenge, just try it in a squat position here, okay? So for the setup, as it is infinity, so there's no end to it, we're gonna start like this, in this setup. So upper arm here touches your back, and your lower arm also touches your back and is internally rotated. Now we want to lift off both hands, straighten them, and then this arm is externally rotating up. Same principles as in the shoulder cars. And this one is internally rotating, same as in the shoulder cars, okay? So we want to start again, lift off, straighten, externally rotate, and the upper arm is internally rotating. Now from here, hinge the elbow, place it on your back, lift off, straighten, and reverse the movement, okay? We're gonna do this 4 repetitions, so 4 circles, for 2 to 3 reps, depending on how much you want to work on your mobility, okay? So let's do 1 set together, okay? I'm choosing the squat variation, but you can also choose the lunge variation, which I showed you right now. So, go in a lunge position, or in a squat position. Now, go to the setup, and lift off. Straighten your arms. Internally the upper arm, externally the lower. Now you find yourself into shoulder extension and flexion. Place it back and reverse the movement. Up, straighten. Go up again and replace it. I'll show you the last 2 reps from the side. So here, squat, straighten your arms, internally and externally rotate, place it on your back. Straighten your arms, internally and externally rotate, and back. Beautiful. Please perform another set or 2 sets of these infinity hovers, which this exercise works really well, again on your full range of motion, while you're sitting or standing in a different setup. So it's a little bit different and more challenging, and focuses also on more coordination in your joints, because you work just differently. The one arm is externally rotating while the other is internally rotating. So this is demanding more coordination for you, but this one works as the shoulder cars as well on the full range of motion. Hope you guys like this upper body mobility routine and implement that in your daily lifestyle.